Okay, so now we are ready to start working on our services section. This is relatively a simple section. It contains this background image and these cards. When we hover over them, they scale up a little bit, and when they first come into the viewport area, they show this animation as well. So now let's get started working on them. Let's go to our index.html, and this is our services section. I have noticed there is spelling mistake. Okay. Now this section contains a h2 services. Then it has a container div, and this container div contains all the service cards. So let's first create one div for one service. Then we will copy paste it. So this one card contains a h3 property buying. Then a paragraph, let's make it lorem 8, some text, and that's it. So this is a card. We have to copy paste it multiple times within this container div. Okay, now let's have a look in the browser. Okay, so this is our demo project, and this is the one we are working on. Let's click on services. Okay, so this is how it currently looks. This is our h2, and then these are the h3s. Okay, since the text align property is set to be centrally aligned for all of these h elements, so the h3 is in the center and the paragraph is left aligned. Now let's go to our styles, and let's go to the bottom. Before this, no, we are already at the bottom. Okay, so this is where our media query starts. So before that, let's start services section begins, and over here, first of all, let's target the section, service section. This contains a background image. So let's go up, and I'm gonna, okay, so from the featured section, I'm copying this statement and paste it over here. We only have to change the background image. So I think this is background 13, at least for me. Then width, height, and paddings are already set for all the sections in general over here, so we don't need to define these properties. Okay, now let's go to the we are gonna target the h2. Let's services h2, but I don't know how many paddings are we need to define, so let's not define h2 for the time being. Let's move on to the individual service cards. Okay, so for that, let's define some width, and let's make it 30 rem. Let's make it max width, so that by setting max width 30 rem, we are basically allowing it to shrink if the screen size is smaller. So maximum width is 30 rem. Then let's define padding. Before we define padding, let's define display flex, justify content center. Flex direction is going to be column, align item center. So this will basically bring the contents properly centrally aligned in the card. Now we should also define some properties for the container itself. So the container is going to be display flex as well. Display is flex, justify content center, align item center, and let's define flex rep to rep. If there is no space on a single row, bring the rest of the cards on the, and if there are no space on a single row, bring the remaining cards on the next line. So this is what flex rep will do. And the gap between each card, let's make it 2 rem. Okay, so this is our container, and our services, each service card, where did we go? Okay, there it is. So this one needs frosted glass look. So let's go up and let's copy these two properties. And over here, let's paste them. And each of these service card has round edges. So border radius, let's make it 0.8 rem. Now let's have a peek. Okay, this is how they look. I think I should not have set the flex direction column, but did I set it? I don't think I have. Okay. So S is missing. So that's why, because the S was missing, so these properties were not being applied to the container. But hopefully now it will. Yeah, okay. So this is how they currently look, but okay. There is this tinted frosted look. Okay, now to this card, let's give padding. So padding all around, let's give it 1 rem. Okay, good. We have to decrease the font size for this H3. So what we are going to do is that since we have, so this is also H3. So the font size that we have defined over here, we are going to move that property up to the global properties that we have defined for this element. So first of all, let's go back to the featured one. Okay, so this was listing. In listing, we have H3. So, okay, so this is H3. Copy. In fact, I'm gonna copy both of these properties. Copy and then commit them out over here. So they are committed out. So basically, there are no properties defined for H3 in the listing. Let's go up. So this is H3 and paste it over here. Font size 1.8 rem and padding 0.8 top and bottom and 0 left and right. Okay, let's go to the services. Yeah, I think that's much better. Now let's target this text first. So this has white color and some line height. Let's go back. Okay, so services, then each service, and then we have paragraph. So let's first of all define font size. Let's make it 1.8 rem, and line height, let's make it 2.5 rem. We have to give it font color and text align center as well. So for the color, let's give it white color and text align center as well. Okay, that's better. We have to decrease the font size. So font size 1.6 rem and line height, let's make it 2.2 rem. Yeah, I think that's better. Now we have to bring these elements in the center, like this one over here. So I think we have to define display flex and justify and align item centers for the whole section, so that our H2 is also in the center. So let's go back to the services over here. Display flex. Flex direction is going to be column. Justify content center and align item center as well. Okay, so this is it. Now we have to bring some space between our H2 and these contents. So for that, what we are going to do is that to this container, because H2 is outside the container. So to this container, we are assigning heading top, and let's make it 5 rem. Okay, that's better. Do you think we should give this text shadow as well, like we have given to our hero section? This one over here. So let's go up. It was in the hero section. Okay, so this is hero container and paragraph. So let's copy this text shadow. Let's go down. And to this paragraph that belongs to each service div. Paste it over here. Services. Yeah, I think this is better. Next, when we hover over them, they should scale a little bit. So for that, let's define transition property, and we are gonna use transform. The transitioning should take place on this transform property. It should take 0.5 seconds and ease in. Okay. now we want this transition to take place when we hover over this paragraph. Sorry, not paragraph, this service. So let's remove this P. Now over here, attach hover with it. Okay, so over here, transform, and we are gonna scale it to 1.02, just a little bit. So that reminds me, we have to set for the service, again, the first letter of the paragraph should be capital. So copy and let's put it over here. First letter, text transform, capitalize. We could write uppercase as well because we are only targeting first letter anyway. Okay, so this animation is happening, but why is it so abrupt? I see. Okay, so the thing is this, we are defining this hover property for the service, but this transitioning associated properties we are defining for the paragraph. So we have to take it back to the service. Where is it? So over here, paste it over here, and we should also bring this part over. So this is the service, and we are associating a hover property, the hover event, with the service. So it's better to place this next to this service. Okay. So hopefully this has resolved. Yeah, this is much smoother. Okay, now I think we should remove this text shadow that we have defined. This looks much better compared to this one. So I'm going to remove this text shadow. There was. Yes, I think this is much better. Okay, now next thing that we have to define is when the services section comes into the viewport area for the first time, we should see this animation as if these cards are popping up from bottom to top. So for that, we have to define one class for these services, for these service cards in our CSS, and we already have our IntersectionObserver defined. So we just have to let it know that now you have to keep spying upon these cards as well. So let's start with let's go back again over here. So after this hover property, services, then service dot show. So when an element has both of these classes, service as well as show, then this happens. And what is this? So for that, let's first of all so for this service, the first thing that we have to do is, let's put it at the end. Opacity, let's bring it to 0. So initially they are invisible. Let's move it over here. And the other thing that we have to define is transform, and we have to translate it vertically. So we are moving it 50 pixels down. Okay, now copy both of these elements, copy, and in the show, paste them, set the opacity to 1 and translate back to its original position, so 0. Okay, so now we have attached the class. Now we only have to let the IntersectionObserver know about these services as well. We have to let it know that from now on you have to spy upon those elements as well. So we have to do this thing only. So copy this part, paste it over here, change it to services, query selector all individual service, then services.forEach, and individual service, then observer.observe service. That's it. So earlier our spy, which is IntersectionObserver, was only spying upon the listings cards, and now we are letting it know to start spying upon the services cards as well. And what should happen when those services cards come into the viewport area? It should attach the show class with them. And when the show class is attached, opacity turns to 1 and the cards are translated back to its original position. Okay. So initially they are invisible now. Let's refresh. and nothing happened. Again, we forgot to place in the S with services. Refresh, and they are visible now. Refresh. Let's go to services. Okay, good. But what happened to the hover property? We also have to give it cursor pointer as well. Okay, so over here transform, and we now attached transform, and other one was, in fact, we have to put in opacity over here. So in fact, what we are going to do is that we are going to replace this transform with all. So basically any animation or any changes. So this will now include all the opacity and transformations. Okay. Refresh. Let's go to services. Okay, good. Do you think we should increase this frostness? Let's increase it. Let's make it 0.1 over here. Okay, I think this is better. And maybe we should give this container some more padding so that at least one of these cards gets pushed down to the next row. So this is service container. We have to define a padding around the container over here. So padding top now, from padding top, let's make it top and bottom 5 frame, and left and right, let's make it 8 frame, 8 or 6 frame. Let's see. I have again changed it back to 0.2, and from 6 frame, let's make it 8 frame, left and right, 8 frame. Okay, still no effect. Let's define temporary border and see what's happening. So solid 1 pixel black. Okay. Now instead of padding, let's give it width. Let's make it 80% of the parent. Okay, that's better. And we need some space over here between this container and this H2. So we have to bring back the padding top again. So let's make it 6 rem. Yeah, I think that's better. Okay, that's better. That's much better. Cursor. Cursor is going to be pointed fine, but what happened to the hover effect? So services, service hover. Something is wrong with the hover effect now. Okay, so I have identified the problem. Okay, the problem is, I think there is some kind of conflict that is arising, because if you notice, we are using 2 types of transform properties. So when we hover over the service, we want the scaling transformation to occur, and when this service card comes into the viewport area, we want this translate Y transformation to occur. So maybe that's the reason. And so the way to solve this problem is, if you notice, we are associating this hover with the service element, and the second transformation property occurs when the service element has another class called show as well. So what we have to do is that we have to attach show with this one as well. So now we are associating this hover event with an element who has got both of these classes, service as well as show. Only then, if the hover occurs, then the scaling should happen as well. Refresh. Now hover, and it's working back again. That's it. Now we only have to check how does it look responsively. So let's go to the responsiveness. Okay, this is 480. Okay, there is one thing. if you notice this, this card is coming above our, what is it? It's our header. So we have to make sure that this header always sticks at the top. So to do that, let's go back to our header. Okay, where is the header? Okay, so this is the header, but before we define z index for this one, we have to check we have given the z index -1. Okay, fine. Now to this header, let's give it z index and let's give it 1000, the highest value. Okay, so now you can see the card is behind this header. Okay, now let's go to home, and now let's go back to the services. I think this is fine. We don't need to make any changes for 480. So if it's fine for 480, it should be fine for every screen size. Okay, so home. Let's go back to the services. 768. Maybe we should decrease the padding for the container so that we have at least 2 of these cards on each row. Let's see. So let's go back to the services. Okay, we were only giving okay, we have decreased the width, so we are going to make it 100% back again. So let me copy this part. Copy. Now let's go back to 768. This is 1200. Let's go down to, this is 400. Where is it? This is 768. So let's go down. Paste it over here. Put the ending curly bracket. Padding top. Let's decrease the padding top to 3 rem, and width, let's make it 100% again. Yeah, I think this is fine for 768. Let's go back to 480. 480. Okay, fine. This is fine. Yeah. Then let's go back again to 768. Now let's check 1200. Okay, this is fine as well. Okay, everything is just fine. We don't need to make any more changes. And with this, our services section is done as well. In our next video, we will start working on the about and probably contact us as well. We'll see. Until then, happy coding. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.